Hi everyone, and welcome back. As now, on the 155th episode, we are going to discuss about Po, the titular main protagonist of the Kung Fu Panda franchise. One of the most iconic protagonists made by DreamWorks, and a literal panda who wants to learn Kung Fu, and despite his appetite and big size, he succeeds in saving China. Po, in my personal opinion, is a perfect example that no matter who you are and who you are, and how you are in terms of body or as a character, person, anything, you too can succeed in life. And in this episode, we're going to discuss all you know about him throughout the movies. And to make these episodes easier, I will not discuss about the animated shows because I haven't watched them nor know anything about them, and so I focus only on the movies to better understand Poe and how and why he became the Dragon Warrior. And now, let's begin. Poe was originally born into a village of pandas under the name of Lotus, to his parents, Lin Xiang and an unknown mother. And at the time of his birth, his life was pretty much normal and good, obviously. But unfortunately, this wasn't meant to last. When he was a baby, Lord Shen, a peacock lord from the gunman city, and his wolf army raided the village, and officially destroyed and killed many pandas in the process. And Poe's mother had to abandon him in order to protect him from the others. And Poe managed to travel along his way into a box as he was that was put on a transport ship and ended up into the Jade Valley, when he ended under the care of Mr. Goose, a literal goose that owns a noodle shop into the Jade City. And so, Goose reluctantly adopted Poe and gave him the name of Poe and raised him as his own son. And for 20 years, Poe has worked at the noodle shop while dreaming to become a Kung Fu master on his own. And when there was a ceremony to reveal the Dragon Warrior at the Jade Palace, he wanted to go in, he used fireworks in order to arrive. And it ended up that he himself was chosen by Ogway into becoming the Dragon Warrior. Now, this wasn't taken very lightly by the others, and especially that his training was absolutely not easy, and especially Shifu wasn't very fond of him. But things changed when Shifu's former apprentice, Tai Lung, who is now a rogue Kung Fu warrior, officially escaped from prison and wanted to go back to the valley in order to kill Shifu as revenge for denying him his supposed destiny, to take the Dragon Scroll and to prove himself as the Dragon Warrior. So Poe managed to train himself and managed to defeat Tai Long and to save the valley. And with this, he defeated his very first arch nemesis and proved himself as a true Kung Fu warrior, despite his silly nature. And now, he eventually learned to know how to master inner peace as well as to come to terms with his origins. And now problems arrived with the resurgence of Lord Shen, the very peacock that destroyed his village and massacred his people. And they wanted to use an army of cannons and use them to take over Gangman City and wanted to use it to take over all of China and decided to stand up against Shen and to master inner peace. Then he went on a search for his biological family and finally found his birth father and reunited and reconnected with him. By the time of doing so, a new threat arrived in the General Guy, the Jade General, a literal spirit that was trapped into the spirit world for 500 years and wanted to escape in order to destroy Ugo's legacy and to absorb the chi of all pandas in the village. So, of course, Poe managed to master his own chi and use them in order to defeat Kai and save his people. And now that he himself reconnected the pandas back to the rest of China and managed to end the isolationism resulted from Shen's genocide, Bo has become a real Kung Fu master. But now he has to find an apprentice to pass on the title of the Dragon Warrior, and found such apprentice into a literal thief, a bunny thief named Zen. And in the process of doing so, he came into conflict with one last enemy, the chameleon, who was a literal shape-shifting chameleon who wanted to master every Kung Fu art that is known in China. And now before we continue, we have to now to stop and ask ourselves, is Poe a good person? And I put this question because of the fact that, while yes, everything he does is a good thing, it should be noted here that Poe started out as a completely naive, insecure, much unexperienced in the Kung Fu or even about the world in general. But he learned as he grew older. He did not succumb to cynicism or hatred or anything, and he learned to be a better person over time. As unlike all his enemies who succumbed to hate and fear and vengeance, Po refused to succumb to any of this and became a better person at the end of the day. He managed to save China multiple times and saved everybody. And in the end of the day, the answer absolutely is yes. Po is a good person and he is pretty much could easily be categorized as a pure good one. And in the end, he successfully defeated the chameleon and took Zen as his own apprentice and passed on the Dragon Warrior title to her. And now he became a Kung Fu master and eventually he died of old age. So in the end, chronologically speaking, who was Po? He was nothing more but a simple panda who grown up into a world surrounded by kung fu and by mighty warriors. A literal panda who, despite his size and appetite, he managed to fit into this world and even become its hero and saved his people from numerous threats. A literal warrior that will prove that no matter what, anybody can succeed regardless of how they look like or how they are as people. And a hero that could easily be called as one of the most iconic characters ever made in animation. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give a like and subscribe and have a nice day.
You're just a big, fat panda.
I'm not a big fat panda. I'm the big fat panda.
The whooshy finger hold.
Oh, you know this hold?
You're bluffing. You're bluffing. Shifu didn't teach you that.
Nope. I figured it out. Skadoosh.